Are you being eclipsed, Fritzed? My name's Sonia Choquette. Welcome to my channel. We are continuing a conversation that I began last week about the effects of our recent lunar eclipse and following up with our recent full moon in Aries. So we've had this intense energetic surge pushing up from our deeper selves, our unconscious, our subconscious, our habits, our unexamined behaviors, and they've all been thrown in our face so that we can begin to create a better experience for ourselves. If you're new, I'm so excited you're here. Maybe your spirit brought you here because we are learning here how to up-level our vibration, move into the fifth dimension, activate our inner senses, our intuitive faculties, connect with our spirit guides, learn to manifest without resistance or opposition, and to be good at it, and more. So lots going on, but we are in the process right now of moving our obstacles out of the way energetically. And if you are coming every week to my channel, I'm so grateful you're here. We are building an incredible force as a community so that we are not working just independently. So I invite you to become conscious and aware that there's a kinship, a common vibration, a connection, that as we move into a higher frequency that you can draw from, you can use to your advantage. So you don't feel alone, which is part of what being in the fifth dimension means. You feel connected. You feel part of something bigger than your own internal ego, fear-based reality, and you start to avail yourself to the divine support that's trying to come in, as well as human support. So we're going to talk a little bit more about what I brought up last week about the effects of the eclipse and the effects of the full moon. And the reason why I want to continue is because it really does have basically a 6-month effect, and it's here for your benefit. There's a discomfort that everybody's feeling and going through now, some more acutely than others. I have had people write to me and saying, I'm not feeling a thing, which could be one of two things. You're completely numbed out, or maybe you've completely cleared out, in which case I hope at least you're feeling good. But for those of us who are feeling the pressure and the pulsation of causing so much awareness of heaviness, what we're learning is to not be buried by that heaviness, but to recognize that it is asking to be liberated. That heaviness is asking for us to become aware so that we can let it go. So if you've been feeling or experiencing, because it's not just an internal feeling, it's actually experiences in the world where a lot of your past is in some interesting way revisiting you, then perhaps this would be a good time to pause and ask yourself, what am I going to choose this time? Now, why I wanted to address this again is because of what I've observed with people, personal people in my life, as well as clients, as well as just watching around me, that there is two common responses to this intensity that is causing people to interact more with one another and pull up a lot from the past. Now, the first is to give yourself the opportunity to pause, to examine what's going on. Why am I seeing my ex-husband whom I haven't talked to in 10 years? And why does he not affect me negatively? And in fact, why is he actually behaving in a better way than he's ever behaved when I didn't think that was ever possible? Or why am I seeing a friend that I haven't talked to since I was in high school showing back up, but that was a friend who really got me and loved me and supported me? Why is that person showing up all of a sudden? Or why does it feel like every single thing I'm doing feel blocked? Because relationships are not just love affairs. We tend to use that word as a catch-all for the romantic connections between people, but relationship is any energetic connection between people. So you might say, well, why is all of a sudden I can't really enjoy going to work? I've had that conversation several times. And two people this week said, I just quit a job I've had for 25 years. I just can't in right consciousness keep showing up because the environment is becoming more and more misaligned with who I am. This is the opportunity we're being given. The noise and the pressure from the outside and is flushing up a lot from the inside. So the choice could be one of two things, and I've observed both. The first choice, and the one that's really valuable, is the choice for growth. In other words, when you're uncomfortable, pause, and instead of doing the defensive same thing and making everyone else wrong and having a lot of indictments on everyone else and them, ask yourself, what am I afraid of? What am I protecting? What wound in myself am I not looking in and bringing some love to? And where am I resisting a little self-examination or a change of behavior, or consider that I might be my own problem? Now that's the way to respond. But a lot of people might just burrow even further into some more negative I'm negative, I'm depressed, world sucks, you're talking nonsense, this is awful, what do you mean, you're making this up, the world's the dead end. That's the self that says, I have nothing to do with the way my life is going. And nobody can convince you otherwise if that's the place, that's the state of mind you choose. But if you want an exciting shift, choose growth. Part of growth is just take a pause and ask yourself, well, what am I doing here that doesn't make me feel good? What am I doing here that's so automatic that I'm not really leaning into the opportunity to grow? What am I doing here that is listening to my head and not my heart, my inner guidance, my spirit, my angels, my intuition? Because you have a choice. And right now, this compacted, pressurized experience we're feeling on the planet is really inviting us to activate our inner guidance, to listen to our higher self, to ask for the support of the divine support realm we have, our angels, our guides, our higher self, light beings, and not dismiss it all as, that's not real. It is real. It's just not physical experience, physical third dimension vibration. It's fourth, fifth. And if we start to even be remotely curious, if you can't go into, all right, I'm going to lean in and really learn or change, at least be curious. That is the gateway to the higher dimensions. What do I want to do? And what would be a better response? Be curious. I have a woman client who said that her ex-husband contacted her, and they hadn't seen each other in years, and he, in her mind, was the most quote-unquote toxic, narcissistic, damaging person I've ever known in my life. And perhaps that was her interaction with him. Perhaps that was true. But he called her and said, can we speak, because I've had a change of heart, and I just want to clear a few things up. So she called me before she agreed and said, what should I do? I said, well, what does your heart say? Not your head. So my head says, say no, forget it. Nobody like him can have a change of heart. But my heart says, maybe. And I said, are you curious? And are you available to feeling the vibration? You don't have to see him in person. It can be a Zoom. It can be a phone call. It can be whatever feels correct for you, but are you curious if there could be a different vibration? Or if not, are you curious that you have a different vibration and all this stuff that you're used to with him doesn't trigger you? What if that was the benefit here that had nothing to do with whether he's had an epiphany or a change of heart, but you have unplugged? She said that would be definitely a benefit. So I don't know what they did, but I pointed out to her These sorts of things are happening more often than not. This is about the 10th reunion experience or the 10th revisiting experience that people have had. In fact, I have a friend who said, I went to Catholic school and my first grade teacher, who was a retired nun and was a nun and is now retired, just contacted me. And she just said, I'm very much, I don't know how much longer I have for this life, but you were one of the sweetest souls I've ever met in my life. And I just wanted to say how much I loved and appreciated you as my student. Now, what a fabulous experience that was. But the other thing I want to point out about all these revisitations is that one of the things the ego doesn't acknowledge much is that we affect others. And we certainly acknowledge that others affect us on the third dimension, but doesn't acknowledge or have an awareness that we affect others. And even more interestingly, we may have a lasting effect. And even more interestingly, can you imagine that it might have been a good effect? That you're not invisible and you're not unimportant and you don't have to feel like your life has no meaning, and that maybe you didn't get a direct acknowledgement, maybe nobody said a thing to you, but you mattered. You actually mattered. I have a friend who emailed me on my birthday, who I haven't talked to in years, and I wouldn't even say it was a friend, it was more of a neighbor. And he said, "Happy birthday. I just wanted to thank you for the time that you helped me when I had stage 4 cancer." And I did help him. I would go sit with him and talk with him. He was my neighbor directly across the street, and I just didn't want him to feel alone. But that was 12, 14 years ago. I haven't thought about it since, but he told me. I really think it helped me get going in my life and get through that difficult time. So this is a new awareness, and one that I want you to be available to, that maybe you have been affecting people, and maybe in a good way. Maybe our purpose in life isn't about being given diplomas and applause and attention. Maybe you've been fulfilling your purpose in life in these quiet and often invisible ways. But right now in this eclipse time, you might get acknowledged for positive ways in which you have been affecting others. Believe it, accept it, receive it. Because part of what we're moving into is an opening of the divine feminine, which I will be talking about. And that is the receive part. Our egos put out a lot of negativity, unfortunately, because they're scared. And we get defended because we don't want to feel that from one another on the third dimension. But as we move up, as we begin to get in our hearts, we begin to expand our minds, we begin to go into a higher frequency, we begin to feel our heart and listen with our heart. You may be married back to some ways in which you have been quietly and beautifully and lovingly and even unconsciously fulfilling your purpose, which is to bring love, light, and goodness to the planet. So this is just part B of this conversation of flushing up what isn't seen, what isn't acknowledged, and letting go of what isn't needed, but also receiving what you've missed, especially what's good about you. And if you feel so inclined in this season to acknowledge people who have been meaningful to you, helpful to you, have witnessed and acknowledge the goodness of you, tell them. It's an incredible way to accelerate your vibration, elevate and feel connected and make a difference. Purpose in life is about contributing to the love and the light of the planet in your way. And you very well may have been doing this all along. I think to some degree everyone has. It's just that we confuse purpose with profession, and often even purpose with profession and dollars and money and exterior success, when in fact it's leaving a mark and it's leaving a positive impression on the hearts of others. So this is the time, please put in the comments. Have you been revisited by an old experience? Have you let it go? Have you improved what was stagnant or stuck? Have you acknowledged someone perhaps that really did see your spirit and celebrate it? That's so important. And is there anyone that is doing that really would probably appreciate you saying so? This is how we elevate, open our heart, connect with our intuition, get into the flow. It's these daily decisions and how we move through the third dimension and how we connect and broadcast our energy outward, as well as open those channels to receive while not being afraid and being discerning. You don't have to take anybody's baloney. No way. No boundaries. No boundaries have to be dropped. No, but walls might need to be lowered, and friendships need to be maybe become endships. We're done. Thank you. The journey's over. Relationship with what matters to you internally as well. Your relationship with self. What part of me is being neglected or ignored or not allowed that I need to invite back in? Maybe there's a part that wants to be an artist, but you're like my third grade music teacher told me, don't sing, don't ever sing, you're terrible. And I never did. After that, I was so humiliated. Maybe my voice was taken away. So I'm working on that. I'm taking it back. Maybe someone said your art you didn't color in the line, so your art's no good. We forgive, but let's not lose the aspects of ourselves that we need. So that's my message for today. If you have comment, please leave it. Please share your experience. If you're feeling cut off and you're listening to this and it just makes you mad, and this is all nonsense and whatever, rather than busting out with that negative habit, be curious. What in me am I not loving? That I'm mad that the world isn't loving while I, in the meantime, am not. Just put that comment, because that'll open things up for you. And we create a community. So by participating together, we help one another. If you've enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up. Please give me comments, because those are the most important, and I love them, read them, address them, want to know who our community is. And also, if you're new, consider joining us, subscribe, and I'll see you next week. All my love.